Hi guys, welcome in. Today this will be more of a chit chatty story time. You can even say, I guess, testimony. This is something that I can't even believe I'm recording or even talking about. Like, I don't talk about this time, and this will really be me like talking about it since it's happened. And so, I hope I don't get emotional. I feel like I'm getting emotional already. But hopefully I'll walk away from this feeling freer, and then also that somebody is encouraged by my story, and hopefully it helps somebody with decision making. So yeah, let's get into it. So 2023 was the worst year of my life. I feel like it's so much to say about this year, and also to understand this year, I have to talk about the past first. And this video will be a long one. I might put it into multiple parts. There's so much that happened during this year. So to understand 2023, I have to talk about the past. So I'm taking you all the way back to 2014. Yes, that far back is necessary. So 2014, I was 18 years old. I had just graduated high school. I was in a program where you can graduate with your associate's degree. And so I graduated with my high school diploma and my associate's degree. And so that was a big time for me. It was a lot going on. That's a whole other story. So during this time, I was in trouble with my parents for something like big trouble. Like we weren't really speaking. So I was in trouble with my parents, but then also I was graduating. So it was like bittersweet. And then also I had feelings of feeling like a fraud, because I felt like I had learned a lot, but at the same time, I didn't learn enough. I was like one of those students where I didn't really have to study or anything. I could just do the work and then I would get good grades. And so I kind of like coasted through school. And then the program that I was in, it was like an IT program. I really didn't want to do it. That was the other thing. I joined this program thinking it would be like a summer program, because that's how it was, what's the word? Advertised. That's how it was advertised. It was advertised as a summer program at my original high school. And so I went to the informational session thinking it was going to be a summer program, but it turned out to be an actual high school program. And I didn't want to go, but my parents wanted me to go, and it was the right decision at the time. I just didn't. I made friends at my old school. I went to stay at my old school. I really love my old school, and it was close to my house too. That's the other thing. This new program was like an hour away from my house compared to my high school that I was already at, which wasn't a bad high school. It was a selective enrollment school. Like, I had to test to get into that school. And so, yeah, my parents, they wanted me to go to this new school. And so I left sophomore year, junior year, I started at this program. And so this program was newish. I was probably like the third graduating class. And the high school part was great, but they needed to work on the college part. To me, I feel like I didn't really learn much in the college portion. And I didn't really, part of it was the program, the other part of it was me. I wasn't really focused. Like, I was almost still kind of like rebelling against the system. And so fast forward to when I did graduate 2 years later, I felt like I hadn't learned that much. And I really didn't want to continue with the IT program anyways. But they gave you like a discount if you stayed at that college and finished and got your bachelor's. And so that's what my parents wanted me to do, which remember, I was into it with my parents at the time. So that's what they wanted me to do. And I wanted to go to another college. But in the end, I decided to stay because it would have been cheaper to stay at that college. And so that's what I did. So fall of 2014, I started at that college. I stayed. I started working on my bachelor's at that college. And I told myself that I would actually apply myself and learn what I need to learn to pretty much get a job in IT. That's what I told myself. So all of fall, I was super focused on my studies in 2014. I had started working, work study. I was working in the library. Like, I was on it in 2014. I was like, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to get me a job in IT. And I was just super focused. Was the information clicking? No, it wasn't. But I was trying my best. I was really trying my best. And I was applying myself. And I was focused for fall of 2014. And what's crazy is I met my, well, he was then my boyfriend. But I met my now husband working at job in the library. My first job as a work study circulations clerk. I had met my husband. That's another story. Fast forward to 2015. I wasn't as focused anymore. In 2015, I was enjoying my work study job. I honestly had got too comfortable. Like, I was chilling in the library a lot, watching YouTube videos. I was obsessed with YouTube at the time. And so I would watch my makeup tutorials and all that. Like 2015 to 2016, it was like peak YouTube. And so I was obsessed with YouTube at the time. And so I would do a little homework, but I was in there watching YouTube videos most of the time. And I had really lost focus, I would say. But I had graduated around 2016, 2017. And at that point, I had started looking for jobs. And so 2017, I was 21 years old. And I thought I would just land this IT job because I had a bachelor's degree. I was like, they told me people would be lining up at the door trying to give me jobs because I work in IT. I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm Black. Not so. Every interview that I went on, they was like, how many years of experience do you have? And I was like, none. I worked at the library for a couple of years. You know, that was like my work experience. I didn't have any IT experience. I just had a degree. And so reality check, I learned that it was a lot harder than expected to land a job. And essentially they lied to me. People weren't like lined up to give me a job. And I found that finding a job in IT would pretty much be a job. And so I got a job in the meantime, in between time, I was working at a Mediterranean restaurant, and I was like a greeter and an opener at that restaurant. And I was working there from like 2017 to 2018. I want to say it might even been to like 2019. Yeah. And then eventually I quit that job. I quit because I was like, I feel stuck here. Like I had like lost motivation to like apply for jobs. My whole life had become working at that Mediterranean restaurant. And it's like a trap, really. And then what's crazy is when I had quit the job, they was like, stop, don't quit. You don't know what you're doing. This is actually a really great help for you. Like, do you have a job lined up? I was like, nope. They was like, you're making a mess of your life. That's what the manager told me. It was so crazy now that I think back on it. He was like really trying to get me to stop. Like, everybody that I had worked with had already quit. I was the only one like still around from that original crew that I had worked with. And so he was like really begging me to stay, but I was like, I can't. I feel so stuck and trapped here. And so I quit. After that, I took applying to jobs very seriously. So not only just IT jobs, I was applying to like regular admin jobs and things like that, because at this point I'm unemployed and I need a job. During this time of unemployment, I felt like I really started to seek God and ask God for guidance, because I felt like, I don't know, I was making like a mess of my life and I really needed guidance. And I felt like I just didn't know what to do. And so I was like, Lord, pretty much help me figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. And so 2019 rolls around and I get my first big girl job. At this point, I am 23 years old, and this was a help desk admin job. This is my first like IT job. I was a help desk admin, and it was like at a tech startup. And so I was like super happy and super grateful to finally have like a big girl job, full time, you know, salary and all that. It didn't have benefits. You had to work a year there until you qualify for benefits. It was real ghetto, but I was just happy to have a big girl job. I forgot to mention that in 2018, what was it, 2016? I want to say 2018. I was single in 2018. I had dated my husband, then college boyfriend, for like a couple years, and then we had broke up. And so when I was at Olive, I was single. And so 2019, I was single as well, and I was on it, like I was single and I was getting a lot closer to God during this time. And so I had started working in ministry at church. I was working with the youth ministry, and I was working with outreach ministry. I had been working. I had gotten the gym. I lost some weight. I lost a lot of weight. My skin was glowing. Like overall, I was what you call like the girl boss. I was girl bossing during this time. And so I was always on the move. And I was saving for a car. I was saving for a car back when I was at
Mediterranean restaurant.
Now that I had a big girl job, I was really, really saving for a car. And so in 2019, I had finally saved enough. I was saving like half of my checks. And I thank God for my parents. I was living with them. They didn't require me to pay any bills or anything. And so I was saving more than half of my checks, honestly. I would only use like what I needed, like for like getting on the bus and stuff like that. I would just use that much, and then like a little for like lunch, and all the rest of my money I would save, because I was saving like really hard for a car. I had really wanted a car because this job was like, I lived on the south side and this job was all the way on the north side. And so it was like an hour on the bus, or like an hour on a train. So that was like one of my biggest goals. I wanted to get off of public transportation. And so I was saving hard for a car. And so 2019, right before my birthday, I treated myself. I got my very first car. I was in love with that thing. As my dad would say, I was rubbing it down in baby oil. That was my baby. I got a 2018 Kia Sportage. It was bronze. And I know you probably see those on the street all the time now. But when I got mine, nobody had it. You couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I loved my car. That was my baby. Going to work, coming back from work, it was a lot easier. I was, comfortable in my car. I was so grateful to God for my car. Like, it was such a blessing. I could go to church and do more stuff with ministry now that I had a car. Like, I was so happy. I loved my car. And not only that, it like gave me a sense of freedom. I didn't feel like a baby anymore when I had my car. I just felt grown. I was like, I'm grown now. I can go wherever I want, whenever I want with my car. Like, you just don't know. That was like a pivotal moment for me in my life once I finally got a car. So 2019 kept pushing forward, and I'm booked and busy, and I'm just feeling blessed and enjoying life. Like, I felt unstoppable in 2019. It was such a good year. And so I continued to save like as hard as I was saving before. Because at this point, I'm like, I'm saving for a house. I'm gonna get me a house. Like, I was saving real hard in 2019. And then 2020 came, and as you know, 2020 is when the panorama happened. And initially, initially we worked from home during the panorama. My company, they sent us home. And then like later into, I wouldn't even say later, maybe like 2 months after working from home. This was a starter company. Keep that in mind. They laid everybody off except for like all of the managers and everything. They said they couldn't afford to keep us, but they gave us like a week's pay, and then, told us about unemployment and everything. So of course I was devastated. I had been saving for a house though. At this point I had saved $30,000. So I was like disappointed because this was like my first big girl job and everything, and I had been saving so much and I wanted to continue saving. But at the same time I was kind of relieved because it was like a break. I had been going and going so hard, and I was loving it, but at the same time I was tired. Like, I had been going like full steam. I was super busy during 2019, and so 2020 was like a year of like kind of rest. And this wasn't even like the beginning of 2020. This was like towards fall of 2020 when they laid me off. So I was like, okay, this will just be a time of rest until I find my next job. And I have my savings to fall back on, and I'm gonna get on unemployment in the meantime, in between time. And then I'm gonna figure out what's the next move from now. 2020 was complex for me. It was like, as an introvert, I was okay with staying at home. I was like, don't threaten me with a good time. Like, you ain't said nothing. I'm cool with staying home. But also, it was like I was on such a grind and I was on such a move. It was like all that movement that I had going had completely halted, and it was out of my control. And so I applied for jobs on Indeed. Like, I was looking on Indeed and LinkedIn and all those, But it was like nothing. It was nothing during that time because everything was shut down. And so I guess I accepted it. I like sat back and I relaxed during 2020. And as I said before, I was going to the gym and everything. You couldn't go to the gym like that during COVID, at least in the beginning, during the panorama. At least in the beginning, you couldn't go. So I was just at home eating and relaxing. And so, yeah. In 2021, I turned 25. And what happens when you turn 25? That frontal lobe developed. At the time, I didn't know that's what it was, but that's what it was. I turned 25 and I looked around at my life and I was like, what am I doing?
You're sitting on the couch, watching life pass you by. Go do something.
Fast forward to 2021 and it's still the panorama and I'm still at home. I still haven't found a job. And at this point, I'm comfortable. I'm super comfortable. I'm chilling at home. Like, I was binging Netflix series with my brother. Like, I was eating what I wanted to eat. I was getting everything DoorDashed. I was chilling. I was still a part of youth ministry. We would do like Zoom calls and things like that. It was just really different during the panorama. So I don't think we did any things like on site during this time. I feel like church was still, it might have been closed. I feel like, yeah, it was closed. And so we would just have like prayer meetings online and things like that. It was different. It was very different. And so I was like at home 24/7 pretty much. It's like I had an aha moment, like all the lights came on and I realized, oh my gosh, I feel like I just wasted. It was a waste, but then it wasn't, because like, what could you really do? Like everything was shut down, but it was like, dang, a whole year has passed and nothing has changed. And so I did enroll in school. I forgot to mention that before. I was already enrolled like in 2020. I had started working on a master's. I knew that I wasn't going to continue with IT based off of that first job that I had. I was like, this ain't for me. And so I had already been researching what I wanted to transfer into, and it was human resources. And so I had already enrolled in a master's program to start working on my master's in human resources management. I forgot to include that. But other than school, like I felt like I had done nothing. And so during that time, I had been seeing a lot about starting your own business, and I was really interested in that. And so I was like, I got savings, and I was really into beauty and holistic care and things like that. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to see how it does. And so I started a business in 2021. I was so proud of my business. And I was selling candles, body butter, lotions, soaps, things like that. And they were like all natural. And so that was 2021. I started the business in 2021. Also, keep in mind, I was on unemployment for like a year. So 2021, I want to say like towards the end of 2021, that was when the unemployment ended. Not only that, 2021 going into 2022, I feel like the market was starting to recover a little bit more. The job market, I mean, it wasn't nearly the same as it was before, but it was starting to get a little bit better. And so I started to seriously apply more to jobs in 2021 to 2022. So fast forward to 2022, I had been applying to jobs. I forgot all about this job. This don't even really count. So I worked shortly. It was like not even a whole month or two. I was working in a call center. My brother was working there too. I worked at a call center. But I actually quit that job because I had got another job finally. And it was like kind of in my field. It was a recruiting job. I worked at a recruiting agency. And that was not at all what I expected. That was not at all what I expected. Okay, so now we are all up to date as far as the past. So it's really 2022 to 2023. That was kind of like the worst year of my life. So the year starts from fall of 2022 all the way up until like fall of 2023. That was like the worst year of my life. Okay, this job was the catalyst for pretty much everything. It started the down spiral. I feel like this video is already pretty long, and as you can see, I didn't change. I'm about to go to the gym, so I'll tell the rest in part 2. It might be 3 parts. We'll see. All right, if you made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.